Now, the next team I want to go after right now is the team that we had to beat in the play-in game, and that is the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, just by comparison here, you see they were 7-9 in 2020 under Anthony Lynn, and I made fun of him with his coaching. And then Brandon Staley came in. Of course, he had that gaffe. We talked about that in the last live stream where he called the timeout, basically screwed his team out of making the playoffs. But just on the base numbers, the offense kind of stepped up. And it wasn't from the running game, of course. It was Justin Herbert coming into his second season. Now, he was no slouch last year. He actually won the Rookie of the Year. But he really stepped up this year. Had nearly 5,000 passing yards. These include sacks. So he's kind of established himself, in my opinion, as one of the best in the league right now. I'm going to say that right now. Probably I'm going to say top 5, depending on, if Aaron Rodgers retires and all that. But he is for real. He's going to be a threat. We'll talk about how to stop him on the offensive side here in a minute. And then the defense, it kind of took a step back. If you look at these numbers now, I'm not a Gus Bradley apologist, but overall, our defense was better last year than it was in 2020 under Paul Guenther. And their defense kind of regressed last year if you look at these numbers. Now, like I said, if Gus Bradley would have been kept on, I wouldn't have had a big deal about it. But I do like his replacement, so much more cerebral, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in action as well. So let's get right to what I want to say as far as their key moves. Now, there's going to be a couple of them, a couple of big names here. Of course, J.C. Jackson, former Patriot, paid him a shitload of money. Honestly, I don't think he's worth that much. His 5-year, $82.5 million deal total. But even if you say, well, he's going to negotiate, he's never going to get all that money. He's got $40 million guaranteed. I don't see him being worth that. He's good. I don't want to pay a corner that much, to be honest with you. Well, you're going to have to augment him with a lot of other players. Now, they did do that. They replaced Nwosu here with Khalil Mack. This one's a little bit different. This isn't a free agent pickup. This is a trade from the Chicago Bears. Now, the Bears got their second-round pick this year and a 6th next year. But not only that, this one's kind of intriguing, and I want to mention this with Khalil Mack. Now, he is going to be due $17 million this year. But next year it's going to be 23. And after this year, he is not guaranteed any amount of money under the contract. They basically picked up the Bears contract. So you could very well see the Chargers cutting him, releasing him after this season, in the next offseason. So if they do that, expect the clickbait videos about Khalil Mack coming back to the Raiders. You're going to hear it. Personally, I probably wouldn't want him. He's probably going to be overpriced, to be honest with you. I would not be surprised if Mack only lasts a season here. And then the third one, I put an asterisk here, Mike Williams. They just basically re-signed him. 3 years, $60 million, 20 a year. And frankly, with the wide receiver market the way it is, this is a good deal for him. You got the elite guys making 25 to 30, and he's probably a step below that. So that 20 million's about right for him. Solid player. And, Keenan Allen's not getting any younger. So I already talked about Nwosu. So let's talk about the salary cap. Now, they have $18 million over the salary cap right now, and they have 10 draft picks, but a lot of them are in the back end, a lot of compensation picks. So I think with the Chargers, they could go after a guy, and I keep saying his name, Larry Ogunjobi, if he can pass the physical. They could afford to get this guy if they don't address the defensive tackle position in the draft.
The other team's quarterback must go down, and he must go down hard.
Now, we're going to go over the Raiders' defensive side, their offensive side first. And, of course, they didn't have a really big change here. They got Gerald Everett from Seattle, who spent 1 year there. But with Everett, you got to look 2 years ago when he was with the Rams, had a 1-2 punch with Tyler Higbee at tight end. Pretty good player. I would not necessarily count him out here. He'll be decent. But my first thing is, we got to see Chandler Jones in action here. Now, Rashawn Slater is no slouch. He's a pretty darn good left tackle. But I want to see him use and abuse the young guy, have the veteran take him down, attack them strength for strength. This is the strength of this team, especially in the offensive line, is right there on that left side. And I want to see that happen. And then the other one, of course, and I was saying it last year during the season, and that's stopping this guy. Gus Bradley couldn't do it. I'm hoping Coach Graham, I'm not going to say hope. I have confidence that Coach Graham can do it. Much more cerebral guy. Just to give you a clue, the 2 games we played against him last year, he had almost 250 total yards, rushing and receiving, and 4 total touchdowns. Unacceptable. This is the guy. I know a lot of people will say Herbert is the man. I'm going to say Eckler is the Raider killer for us, not necessarily Herbert. He is good too, but I think it's much more important slowing him down, not only in the running game, but also passing out of the flat, which frankly Gus Bradley's defense was terribly deficient in.
I hear everyone say it, take what they give you. We're going to take what we want.
Now, on the offensive side of the ball for us, they had a lot of changes on their end. Their defensive line is, I've been mocking it and making fun of it for quite some time. Jerry Tillery, again, former first-round pick. He was supposed to end up being that nose guy. Didn't pan out. They moved him out. He's still not that good there. Kenneth Murray, a first-round pick here inside. Not so good. Kazir Whitehead left, so Drew Tranquil's projected the starter right now. And he gave us fits, especially in the first game with his blitz packaging. And I got to put that on there right now. Is this right side of the line? You could go from James all the way over. We looked bad in that first game. And not only that, I would say Austin Johnson from the Giants and Sebastian Joseph Day, they were upgrades from what they had before. But that's like saying, well, if we got Bobby Massey at right tackle, that's an upgrade from Brandon Parker. Because Brandon Parker was terrible. Bobby Massey's decent. So not a big threat, but then you throw Bosa in there and you have Drew Tranquil blitzing. This could be a problem over here on this right side of the line. It's still got to prove itself. Go with Josh Jacobs here because, again, this team can be carved up the middle just like the Chiefs. They're built very similarly. Offensive dynamo, passing game, trying to get pass rushers on the defensive side. I think the Chargers were a little bit better in the secondary, but in the middle, not so much. Even with the draft capital they spent, again, we need to pound the ball again, keep the ball away from that high-powered offense, just like we did with Patrick Mahomes.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, baby.